Welcome to the Mormon Medium Podcast, where we'll talk about spirituality, the paranormal, religion, and my journey in becoming a Mormon medium. I'm Nannette Ride. Thanks for listening. Now let's go have some fun.
Don't be afraid. Close your eyes. There's a moon overhead, but the sun will rise. Blood on our lips, such a poisonous bite. The sound of our hearts go bump, bump, bump in the night.
Thank you for tuning in to the Mormon Medium Podcast. I'm Brad, and I'm here with Nannette Ride, the Mormon Medium. And today we're going to talk more about Claire.
The Claires.
Yep. We talked a little bit about the first couple of Claires in the last episode. So if you'd like to learn more about clairvoyance,
Clairvoyance. What is that, Brad?
Nan, this isn't a quiz show.
It's my strongest
Yeah.
one.
Clairvoyance is your sight or ability to see spirits. And we also talked about clairaudience, which is how you hear spirits, either with your physical eyes or your...
You mean your physical ears or your spiritual ears,
Yes,
right?
you knew what I meant.
So both clairvoyance and clairaudience, you can subjectively see and hear them or objectively hear and see them, right?
Yes. So what are we going to talk about first on the next Claire?
We're going to talk about one of the hardest ones for me because I kind of shut it down when Corey was killed, but it's your clairsentience. So you're feeling, your clear feeling.
So tell me about shutting that down, because that sounds like something that's really tough. Like it's something that hurt a lot.
Yeah, you know when you just feel too much, you just have to turn it off. Turn it off.
Like a light
switch.
Yeah. It's a neat little Mormon trick.
So
We've gone from quiz show to song and
Broadway
dance.
plays.
And yeah, we're more like a vaudeville act, I think.
we warned that our life is a musical.
Yes, we did. Hey, but you know what's great? Did you know that loud laughter is now allowed?
I know. I don't have to be ashamed of that anymore. Do you know how long I suppressed my laughter? Because it was not good.
Okay, you better explain where that joke comes from, because I think there's people out there who don't understand, because not everyone who listens is
It's
Mormon.
Mormon. Yeah. So
Wait a minute. Is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
that's what they call it. They don't call it Mormon anymore. The prophet has told them not to use the word Mormon anymore because that's a win for Satan. They say that they have to say that they're members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So we're just going to say Mormons just because it's shorter.
So explain the loud laughter thing.
So in the temple, one of the things that they say is you're to avoid loud laughter, right? And I always just felt ashamed of that because I have a really loud laugh and I laugh from my insides out. I just do. I always have, but I've always tried to suppress it because I used to be super shy. I used to be shamed, and so I would just hold it in. And since I have come into my own and stood in my own power, I just let it go. Like I laugh, and I think that Christ laughs out loud. I think everyone should laugh out loud because it's just joyful and it's a high vibration. Like, why would you not? So the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints just changed that rule. And so you can laugh now.
You can laugh again.
I can laugh out loud.
It's no longer in their temple ceremony, which is interesting that they have continuously changed it. But that's a topic for a whole different show.
Other podcast.
Yeah, I just opened a can of worms, so
You did.
We probably don't want to talk about that right now.
It's like Pandora's box, more like, not a can of worms.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going there right now. We might on another episode, but not this one. We're talking about the Claires, right?
Yeah, so let's talk about how you shut your feelings off.
When Corey was killed, it was just so painful that I got to the point where I was so depressed and I was just feeling so much. Like I would feel everyone's sorrow for me. I would feel everyone's everything. I was so empathic and have been my whole life
that's what I was just going to say is, so wait a minute, clairsentience is basically an empath.
It is an empath, 100%. That's why I always say, when people say, oh, I'm just too sensitive, I'm like, no, that is one of your gifts. That's a heavenly gift. That's a good thing. You just need to learn about it, strengthen it, work that muscle, and then you're in charge of it. And then it's awesome.
Yeah. I think it's super important to be able to feel like that, right? There's a lot of people who are empaths and they're like, oh yeah, I'm an empath. I feel what people feel. But I think most people do, right? I think it's just a super common Claire, because people get in a big crowd and will act like the crowd. Or if somebody is with someone who's depressed, eventually they get depressed. They feel those things, but I guess they don't always have to, right? There are ways that you can protect against that.
There are definitely ways you can protect against it. And that's the thing. If you're not aware that that's the kinds of things that you do and that this is one of your gifts, and you're not aware that you're feeling other people. Like, have you ever been around someone or a group of people where after you leave them, you're just exhausted? You're actually sucking your energy away and you're letting it just bleed away. And it's because you're vibrating it the same as them and your energy is just leaving. The way that you protect yourself is you put protections up and picture yourself being protected. I have a light that is all around me and I'm in a triangle. So I do those kinds of things, put protections up every day so that I don't feel too much, especially if I have to go to like the grocery store or places like that. I don't want to feel everyone. I want to just get my work done and go. But I still see people. And if I want to feel people, I will choose to take my protection down to feel other people. But I've really had to work on this one because my whole life I've been empathic. I'm still empathic, but for a while I shut it off because it was so painful to feel.
Yeah. Well, and especially where everyone who saw you was like sorrowful because they knew that you'd gone through something horrible, but they didn't always know how to express that, right?
Yes.
So that was super hard, I bet.
Well, and for me, I didn't want them to feel sad. So I wanted to try to fix them. And I can't fix everyone. I'm not here to fix people.
No.
People need to fix themselves. I'm a healer now, but I don't fix people. Even now, when people get on my table, they're the ones doing the work. I'm just a conduit to move energy.
But you didn't understand that at the time. And do you think because you didn't understand that yet, it impacted your healing journey?
I think everything happens for a reason. And I think I healed exactly how I was supposed to. I'm grateful for my journey, how it has been, even though it's been really hard. And my heart chakra, I had shut off. It was one of my last senses to come back online. And I had to actually visually open it back up and allow it to be a safe place to open back up. So, and once I did, I was like, okay, this isn't painful anymore. And I can feel other people and I can feel the things I need to. And now it's really, really great because when I'm talking to spirit, I can feel their personalities. I can feel how they died. Not only will I feel it, but I can feel it also in my body. So sometimes I'll get like a really bad headache on the side of my head that'll go down my neck, or my left arm will start hurting and my chest will hurt and it'll feel like I'm getting squeezed, or different things like that will happen. And as soon as I say, oh, it feels like your Uncle Frank died of a heart attack, as soon as I hit it, I get the full body chills, which is always spirit telling me yes. And then that feeling in my body leaves. So every time before I do a reading, I always tap into, how does Nann feel? How do I feel emotionally, spiritually, and physically? How are you right now? Because that's your baseline. And then whatever spirit brings through, it's not you. It's them.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah. So clairsentience is huge. Have you ever gotten the chills for absolutely no reason?
Yeah, I think everyone has, right?
Like, isn't that was one of your big things when we would go into the haunted places on our dates? You would get the chills and your hairs on your arms would stand up, remember?
Yes, that's called phylloerection.
You just wanted to say that word.
No,
and we're 12 again.
That's what it's called.
Whatever, I'm still not believing you anymore.
Google it. Google it. I am very, very serious.
He cannot be trusted, but Google it for me.
It's a fun word to say, though.
Oh, the information that is in your brain. I just don't even. But you actually have clairsentience, clairaudience, and clairvoyance. You have all three, Bradley J.
What are you talking
You do.
about?
Well, we just talked about clairsentience, the feeling. You get the chills. You can feel. You get that gut feeling. I think that's a cop thing, but you get the gut feeling. You have a bullshit meter a mile long. Like, you know when somebody's full of crap, but you've got some real gifts. You've heard stuff before. And if we're really going to delve into Brad's gifts, he smells too.
Hey, wait a minute.
He's not stinky, but he smells spirits. I'm not even kidding. He does that a lot. I always say he has a pregnant nose, and that's in real life. I can only imagine his spirit nose is super pregnant too. And his claircognizance, so his clear knowing. Dude, I can have a song playing in my head, and I do that sometimes, but not actually audibly say it out loud, and he'll start singing it. I kid you not. He'll read my mind all the time, or I'll be thinking something and he'll just say it. So I don't know if it's because we hang out too much or what, but I think that is one of your gifts. I think you have 4 of those things, like sharp.
Look, I think that as far as knowing what's going on with you, I think we just know each other very well. I mean, we're extremely connected.
Really? How in the world do you come up with Kung Fu Fighting as a song when I haven't even sung it yet, and I haven't sung it in a long time, and all of a sudden you just start singing it?
Maybe because for like 6 months straight, every single day, you woke up singing that song and
It's
playing
one
it.
of my favorite songs.
Yeah. So like it's kind of, a crapshoot. Let's see, Kung Fu Fighting today, or Psycho Killer.
I do love Psycho Killer too. Oh. But you know what, though? Honestly, let's be honest. I know that you like to poo-poo off all of your gifts, and you don't even like to talk about how Brad feels about anything. But really, you really are gifted, and I don't think you could survive this marriage if you weren't.
Thanks. Look, I am a Gen X man. We are not supposed to have emotions, and we're not supposed to talk about things like this.
Really? So I can't tell anyone that you cry in Disney movies, right?
Well, who doesn't, though?
I don't usually.
Well, I do.
I know you do. You cried in Toy Story. I know.
Dude, Toy Story, though.
I know you cry all the
Yeah.
time. And I love that about you. It's very endearing. You're a tender heart. So that is our clear feeling. Now, a lot of people that have this particular clair, they will be healers, caregivers, doctors, therapists, counselors, teachers. Those types of people will have this one that's pretty good.
So, Nan, I know in the past you've talked about being able to improve your clairs or make them stronger. How would I make clairsentience stronger?
There's a couple things that you could do. Some really fun exercises could be if you close your eyes and you're just in a really relaxed state. So take some big deep breaths, breathe in your nose and blow out your mouth, like maybe 5 or 6 times. And once you've calmed your mind, imagine that you're standing in an ice cold shower.
That sounds miserable.
Yep, but what does it feel like? What does the water feel like on your skin? What does it feel like? Every detail of what it feels like. Just let yourself sit in that, right? And the more you learn to feel, the more spirit can come through and be like, hey, this is what I feel like. And they can explain more to you because you've experienced more. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. So it's kind of like when we talked about the clairvoyance and looking at detail. This is trying to feel the detail.
Feel the details. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you can picture, close your eyes and breathe again, and then have yourself sitting in the hot sand on a beach, and you're just running the sand through your toes, and you've got the sand running through your hands, and you can hear the ocean, right? So now you're bringing your audience in. Just experience the whole thing. It kind of brings a full picture in, right? And that's what spirit will do. It won't use just one of your senses. It'll use as many as it needs to get a picture or something across.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So kind of a fun little exercise that you can do to strengthen your clairsentience.
All right. So clairsentience is our feeling.
Yes.
What's next?
Our clairalience, and that is your clear smelling. So this is your pregnant nose, Brad. This is the one that you're super good at all the time.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier I smell.
You don't. You never smell. Your breath never smells. Even when you're sick, you never smell. But you can smell things all the time. We'll have spirits that smell like cigarette smoke or perfume. Like, remember that one time we were in the Winchester mansion?
Yes, that was super cool, right?
Yes. You want to tell us about that?
In San Jose, California, there is a mansion that was built by the wife of the Winchester rifle legacy. So the man who created the Winchester rifle was married to this woman, and she had believed that she was being haunted by the spirits of all the people who were killed by the Winchester rifles.
That's correct. Yep.
And Nan and I went on a tour of the Winchester mansion.
Because we do weird things like that.
It was, that's not weird. It's just cool.
That was after we went to Alcatraz.
Yeah, it was. So we went on a tour, and while we're walking through the house, we walked into this one room, and I was like, oh, do you smell that old lady perfume?
Mm-hmm.
It smells like roses. Because, you know, how old ladies always wear that, like, rose water perfume.
You should say elderly ladies, not old ladies.
But if I say elderly, they won't know what I'm talking about. Everyone knows what an old lady smells like. I can't say, no, if you say elderly lady perfume, no one knows what you're talking about. But if you say old lady perfume, everyone knows.
How about you just say it smelled like potpourri?
No, it smelled like old lady perfume.
Okay. Kind is power.
That's
Kindness
not-
is
is
power,
that-
Brad.
is that mean?
Kind. Yes, because we might have some elderly ladies that listen to this. And what if they like rose perfume? Be nice.
God damn it. Now I have to edit all that, don't I?
No. Just edit me.
I'll just leave it in. All right. So we walk into this room, and it smells like roses, but not just roses, like,
Rotten roses.
well, like elderly lady perfume.
It did. Yes, that's what it was.
So we asked the tour guide. We asked the tour guide if they pumped like scents into the rooms to make them smell like different things, and he looked at me like I was crazy. He's like, no. And the people behind us were like, yeah, it smells like roses. And we're like, yes, it does.
It's true.
And what we ended up learning was that room was actually the room that Mrs. Winchester had died in.
Yeah, it was her bedroom.
Yeah. Which explained the elderly lady perfume smell.
Exactly. And we weren't the only ones that had smelled it. They said it was a common occurrence that people would smell roses in that room.
Yeah.
The rest of the place didn't smell like that, though.
No, none of the rest of the place smelled like that. I still wonder if they had like some sort of a rose plug-in, or if they sprayed rose perfume in there. I really do, because that was just so coincidental that multiple people smelled it.
Okay, but what about the smoker that you've even smelled in our house in St. George here?
Yeah, the smoker is a different story. So, you want to talk about the smoker?
You talk about the smoker. You're the one that smells them all the time.
He's a joker.
Smoker is a joker.
He's a midnight toker.
I know.
Okay, so look, sometimes ghosts don't realize they're being rude.
It's true.
And we have a ghost that hangs around, and every once in a while you'll smell cigarette smoke. Look, Nan doesn't smoke. She's a respiratory therapist. She doesn't do smoking for anyone. I don't smoke. We don't have neighbors who smoke. But every once in a while we'll smell cigarette smoke in the middle of our home. Well, when that happens, we know that it's the smoker ghost. And it's interesting because all we have to do is be like, hey, dude, you stink. We can smell the cigarettes. You need to change your smell because we don't like it. Either you change it or you need to leave. And the funny thing is,
They change it.
it'll stop immediately.
Immediately stops. Yeah.
Which, yeah, everyone's like, but it's a true
No,
story.
it's true.
It actually
100% true.
So, yes, I guess I have to admit that I have clairalience because I do smell ghosts. And you know what? Some people will say, yeah, ghosts have a foul odor. And we've actually experienced
We've
that.
had that. Oh.
Yep. So I'll let you talk about that one.
Well, on our episode where we talk about Brad and I dating and us going to the asylum in Tooele, as we were leaving, so our car was parked maybe 15 feet from the front door, maybe 20 at the very most, but not any more than that. And we had been given instructions at the beginning of the tour that when we leave, sometimes the spirits like to go with us. And so that we had to take our shoes and socks off and reground in Mother Earth. And then we needed to tell any spirits that were with us that they couldn't go with us, that they needed to stay here. And now that I look back on it, I think it's sad because we could have seen if they wanted help. Anyways, we had a stinker that came out with us and it smelled like death. It was the death smell.
Yeah, you know when there's like a dead deer and it just reeks after it's been bloated and it's nasty and it's just pungent.
Really pungent smell.
That's what it smelled like. But here's the thing is when we went inside and there was no wind, there was no breeze, nothing, there was no smell.
The smell wasn't there.
When we came out, there was still no wind, no breeze, but it smelled like death, like dead animal.
Yes. And then after we told them that it couldn't go with us, it went away.
Yeah.
And we got in our car.
Yeah, we took our shoes and socks off. We grounded ourselves on the grass and just said, hey, look, we're not taking anything home with us or anyone home with us. You need to stay here.
Yes.
And it stopped.
It stopped
Like
right
that
then.
quick. It
Yes.
was
And then we got in the car and we heard our EVP and
Yeah.
it about wrecked.
Mike.
Mike. That was so weird.
So maybe Mike was the stinker. Who
he
knows?
could have been the stinker.
Yeah, we don't know. But yeah, the death smell was definitely there, and it was definitely not from something in the area because it completely disappeared.
Yes. Yes. I know you definitely have that one. You actually have all that we've talked about so far, which is so cool. Yours may not be as strong as mine, but I think that if we exercised yours, you would be popping. We'd be double mediums here.
I don't want to be a medium.
Yeah, neither did I. And look what happened. Our next Claire Gustins.
What in the world is that? I can't even guess at what that means.
That's clear. That's clear tasting.
I definitely do not want to taste a ghost.
You know, the one I get a lot, and I think it's one of our spirits that are with us in our house, is I will smell and taste chocolate chip cookies for days.
What? You've never told me that.
I have so told you that. I'll be like, Brad, don't you smell chocolate chip cookies? Can't
Yeah,
you taste chocolate chip cookies? And you're like, no.
No, you've never said I taste chocolate chip cookies. You said I smell them.
No, they're like in all of my senses. It's like it almost gets to the point where it's so much that it's nauseating and I just want it to stop, and it goes on for days. And I think we must have a baker or somebody like that. I mean, which is awesome because I love to bake, but it gets to be a little much. I probably should pay more attention when I get that.
Yeah, figure out who that is. I mean, maybe it's an ancestor. Is it your grandma? Did she bake chocolate chip cookies?
My grandma did bake. Yeah.
But did she bake chocolate chip cookies?
She did, but she baked everything. Like, oh my gosh, she was such a good baker. Yeah. I don't know. I'll have to ask now because it's not something that happens a lot, but it has. And when it has happened, it stays with me for a while and I don't like it.
But it's amazing for me because I usually get chocolate chip cookies.
It's true. It's true. Maybe it's just the ghost saying, and Brad needs chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah,
It's
it's
probably your grandma saying,
maybe-
make Brad some cookies from me.
Maybe it's just you using your, what's the mind reading one?
The claircognizance.
Maybe it's just you using claircognizance and going, oh, Brad wants chocolate chip cookies.
No. I know when you want chocolate chip cookies, and it's usually every day.
Yeah,
It's true.
it's not wrong.
Thank goodness for crumble cookie.
Right? It's so easy.
Then I don't have to bake. So that is all your clairs. Our very last one is claircognizance, and we've touched on that on the last episode. And that's just your clear knowing. And when you know something, it's your intuition or your premonitions. Remember when I had that vision about the angel Moroni rolling down the side of the temple.
Yes. That was crazy. So there we are.
There we are.
We're driving through Salt Lake City with my parents, and Nan just kind of grabs my arm and stops and goes, "Oh my gosh, did you guys see that?"
Okay, well, just a second. We're like driving to Market Street Grill, and it's on the way to Temple Square, so where the temple is in Salt Lake City. And so our car is like headed towards the temple, so you can see the temple just before you.
Yeah. And there's this giant golden statue, this big giant idol on top of the temple, right?
That's the angel Moroni.
Yep. And it looks like he's got a big carafe of wine that he's drinking.
No,
but
it's a trumpet.
It is a
You're
trumpet.
being 12 again.
Let me tell my story,
Okay.
please. So it looks like a carafe of wine, but it's actually a trumpet because
Okay.
he's sounding the horn of the angels or whatever. Nan goes, "Oh my gosh, did you guys just see that? The angel Moroni just fell off the temple." And we're like, "What the hell?" And we all look, and no, the angel Moroni was
I literally
still,
saw it tumble down the side of the temple.
yeah, but it was still there. So we're like, "Yeah, Nan, you're smoking crack. So it's just fine. Don't worry about it." And she's like, "No, I literally just saw that. It was crazy." Well, it was what, a week, 2 weeks
It was
later?
3 weeks later.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
yeah, Angel Moroni's horn actually
Fell
fell
off
out of his hands and
rolled
fell
down the side of
off
the temple.
It was super, super crazy, and we're like, "Whoa!"
I don't know why that was
Man.
important for me to see, but
Well, I think it was a big part of you working through your faith crisis, as people call them, right?
maybe so. But I don't know why I would need to see something that was actually going to happen. You know,
Well, it was pretty bitchin' for whatever reason.
it's a bitchin' Camaro.
Yes, I ran over my neighbor. Yeah, that was super cool, though. That was like, yeah, you knew, you saw it. You're like, okay, I know this.
Yeah, and I couldn't explain that one. It was a day vision.
Well, it really was. And the cool thing was everyone in the car heard it. And then everyone in the car heard about what happened later when it actually happened.
Yeah. It was really freaky, actually.
Yeah, super cool. Well, and another one is when you knew the baby's name.
That's true. Yeah. So I've always been able to, I have this thing with babies, and I don't know exactly why, but I've always been able to tell when my kids were pregnant or if I was going to have a grandbaby, because the grandbaby would come to me in a dream and I would be able to tell you what they were going to look like, what their personality was, and when they were going to be born, you know, all the details. And if it was a boy or a girl, like whatever. And as my gifts have gotten stronger over time, now I can go by a pregnant lady. And I know, like when we were in Brick Oven in Provo, I saw this beautiful pregnant lady. She got out of her car and was going to go into the restaurant. And she was big and pregnant, but she had this cute sundress on and this really cute hat. And she just glowed. She was just gorgeous. And later on, she was in the line for the salad bar and I saw her and I was like, "Oh, I saw you out front. You know, you're so gorgeous. I'm like close to having your baby, huh?" And she's like, "Yeah, I got 2 weeks left." And, you know, and I was like, "Oh, wait, no, you're having twins." And she was like, "Yeah." She's like, "I hope everything goes good." And I'm like, "Oh, one boy, one girl." And so I don't know how I know, but I just know. And it was one boy, one girl. But with our grandbaby, he came to me in a dream when they were very first pregnant, and I knew that he would be petite like his beautiful mama, and I knew that he would look like her and that he was going to come early. And then later on, he told me what his name would be. So you can tell that story.
Well, and the crazy thing with that is the kids had not told anyone what they were going to name the baby. So what had happened is we had invited them to Thanksgiving. We actually went to Park City and had rented a condo, and we had Thanksgiving, just a small little intimate one. And the kids came up, and as we were talking about the baby, obviously, because we knew he was due soon, and they hadn't told anyone what the name was. And Nan had told me, "Well, they're going to name the baby this." And so as we were getting dinner ready, the conversation came up about the baby's name. And Nan said, "So I saw this name." And our daughter-in-law's jaw dropped. She's like, "Oh, Tyler, did you say something?" And he hadn't said anything. He's like, "No." But yeah, Becca and Tyler were completely shocked because Nann knew what the baby's name was going to be.
Yeah. He had told me
And-
what his name was supposed to be.
And they hadn't told anyone. And
No.
it was not a common name. It wasn't something that you hear all the time. It's not a John or a Jimmy or,
No,
anything common.
It's not a normal.
It's
type
an
name.
unusual name and very unique. So for her to actually know that was very outside of the norm.
I just think that little dude is super gifted, and he and I have a connection. It's probably a connection through our gifts, but he is super special, and I just love him to death. And I love that he let me know who he was before he even got here.
Yeah, he's a special little dude. He's my little guy.
He's my little guy.
All right.
We'll share.
Yes, please.
Okay, let's face it. You're his best friend.
I don't know. I think that's his daddy.
That is his daddy, but he said that you were best friends the other night.
He did.
So cute. Oh, he's so cute. So those are our 5 senses and our last claircognizance, which isn't really a sense, it's just a knowing. So if you want to open up your spiritual toolbox and learn about all of your gifts, these are where you start. Pretty fun stuff.
That is. Thank you for explaining that. It's been something that, like I said, you talk about the clairs a lot, but I think it's really good to define them and to really just understand what it is you're talking about.
Thank you for clarifying and for interviewing me.
Well, look, honestly, this was as much for my benefit as anyone else's. So thank you for taking the time. Nann, do you have any closing thoughts you'd like to leave people with?
You know, when we use all of our gifts in our toolbox, so all of our clairs, it brings us closer to the other side so that we can have a different kind of relationship with those that we love, that we have lost. And they don't have to be lost anymore. So be open to opening up your toolbox, taking out your gifts and sharpening them up. Build that muscle so that you can be able to claim your birthright and be able to touch the veil.
I love it. Thank you so much, Nann, for taking the time to explain the clairs to us and for your wisdom and for your abilities and sharing what you've learned. It's really awesome. I sure appreciate you.
Thank you for sharing in this. If you have any questions or you have any suggestions, go ahead and send us an email. If you'd like to book a healing or you'd like to get in touch with your spiritual side, you can go ahead and click the link. Where can they find that, Brad?
Okay, so there are some links in the show notes that can do a couple of things. Number one, it can show you how you can buy the Mormon Medium a coffee and support the show that way. There's also a link to the Mormon Medium's calendar. So if you want to have a reading done by her for you, or if you want to schedule an energy balance, you can do that as well through that link. And our email address, Nannette mentioned that you could reach out to us, but you can utilize our email address, which is info@themormonmediumpodcast.com.
We look forward to hearing from you, and thank you so much for your support.
Yep. Thank you so much. And we'll see you guys on the other side of the veil.